Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Do me a favor. We only have 17 people here yet. We'll have what we expect a bunch more, so just bear with us as they all pop on. If you can hear me, raise your hand. Excellent. All right, so we're going to get that, and we'll get more, and other people watching recordings. Hope everyone is doing well. I can answer a question or two while we're waiting. You got any questions here? Hello, Aiden. Okay, I'm going to, another version of me is coming online here. I'm going to mute that or we'll have problems. Yes, you will. I will definitely make the slide deck. I'll definitely make the slide deck available for you. We'll post that up. I will send that message out just as you saw. I got a link with the webinars. I will send when we have that available. All right. Will students also be provided with a mouse with their computers? Not necessarily. No. Do you have, please let Kim Gervaisi know if you have a student with special needs. Aiden's asking if Miss Borden's here. Don't know. Don't know. All right. We're just going to give this another minute or so. Then we're going to get started. I think folks found out about the rules. That may be why they signed up a lot. Also, it's Thursday night and there may be hoops going on or something. I don't know. All right. So we're going to briefly review just very quickly. I'm going to go fast now and then slow down when we start making the, oh, Miss Bourne says, she is here, laugh out loud. But let me go ahead. I'm going to go through this quickly. Then that way, let me see. Let me see if this session's being recorded. Before we go any further, let me see one thing here, folks. Okay, it's being recorded. Okay, great. So let's go. I just wanted to make sure so we had it. All right. So this new Scratch 3.0, that's what we're using. Create an account. By now you should be on it. Project editors, blocks, that's where you write your, kind of the blocks from where you pick your scripts. You put the scripts together on a script area. Stages where the cat runs around. Sprites and backdrops. Remember, you are not going to make sprites. We'll provide the basics for your sprites and backgrounds. So don't spend a lot of time figuring out how to do that. Costumes tab, sounds tab. And there it is. Block palette. This gives you just an organization of all this code right down here. We put the code in this big area here. We watch the cat run around. This gives us information of our sprite. May I make a suggestion? Name your sprites. You've started getting lots of sprites. You can get confusing. So here's a block palette. Motion. Think anything that makes the sprite run around. I'm going to say cat and sprite interchangeably right now. Cat is actually a sprite, but cat seems easier to say. I don't know, whatever. Looks as if they change the looks of the cat, or says. Sound, as you can imagine. Events can be something like as anything as clicking the mouse, or clicking that go area, or getting a control. There's lots of different events. Controls are loops in a decision making. Sensing is just that, sensing. So it could be something as follow the mouse around, or hooking this into a pin on our Raspberry Pi. Operators, you being able to use math. Variables, not surprisingly, are just that, variables. It allows you to do formulas. It allows you to make a formula, like a variable, like score. In my blocks, allows you to make your own custom blocks. So here's a kitty cat. All right, there it is, motion. There's the cat, the sprite, and it's got two different costumes here and here. Again, this is review for people that were here. No, you will not be able to use your already made sprites. You will use only what we're going to provide you guys. Sorry. I know you'd like to make your own sprites, and that would be cool. But unfortunately, you will not be getting. You will come in there and log in a name, and we're going to give you one that has the sprites. All right, next thing you have is sound. We can record it. It's great fun. There's echo. You play with that sometime. In terms of motion, there's move, turn, go to. These are all different ways to get the cat to run around. This says move, hello, 2 seconds. We made the cat do that. Real quick, try that. Let's just take a minute, go through and do this, because we can't do this. We certainly aren't going to be making a Pong game very successfully. And I know you all can. So bring up, if you haven't already, go ahead, and this will give some more people to get on board. Go ahead and raise your hand once you have, so I can see it, so I know once you've all right. Yep, we're going to get it so everybody can load up their stuff right now. Raise your hand once you've got the cat, you've got Scratch loaded up and you made the cat. Move 10 steps and say hello. All right, we're getting that. Okay, I'm looking on my other computer. I run 2 computers during this to make sure I understand things. So, Karen, Danny, Sharon, Allison, go ahead and bring up Scratch. You've got internet, you have this, so you should be able to play on this. All right, as we go along. I'm not going. We'll move ahead, and if you don't, I understand, but you're going to get a lot more out of this if you do that. So you pulled in, you put in the flag, you moved 10 steps, it said hello, it worked. All right, I'm hoping. Then we don't want to keep doing something, just clicking and going. If you want to do more, you do what's a loop, and that's with our repeat. And we put a little wait so you can see it. Now, honestly, the wait here after you've already said hello for 10 seconds is just you're making 11 seconds. We're going to go ahead and go on that. So in programming, sequence matters. Sequence when it starts from the top once it's been completed. Each time they're complete, it's called an iteration. And that's why it went a loop like that. It went 10 times. All right. An infinite will continue until the code stops. Hey, Aiden, buddy, I can't, or whoever Aiden is, we really got to focus on that. You just go ahead. I'm sure your teacher will love to hear what you did tomorrow. Okay. And I'm not trying to be mean, honey. We got a lot to cover yet. Okay. Also, if you right click, you can duplicate, you can add comments, you can delete blocks. For you young programmers, I highly, highly suggest that you learn to comment your code. There's the cat. Say hello for 2 seconds. Hello, next costume, etc. Try it. All right. And then we went into moving costumes. We're not going to try that. You change it by changing up a backdrop. I will have the presentation slides out later if you'd like to do it. Here's the different look command. Switch backdrop, change color sets. Okay. It's a valid. What's the reason behind? Someone just asked a great question. What's the reason behind adding a comment? I'm going to assume, let me read the rest of that. Bear with me as I look at the questions. Oh, come on. Let me pull this out just a second so I can see it. What's ran into the code? Well, Shannon, so amazingly enough, you'll make programs and they'll be impressive and you'll be very proud of it and you'll have worked a lot on it. As I mentioned in my last webinar, in my classroom, you can play any game you like as long as you build it. And I find that my students getting these very great Scratch games and as well as Python, as well as we do assembler. We do what's very low level programming at times too. And I get certain students that really get into that. And guess what? They've spent all this time, and then 2 months as you're building the game, you're going to have to figure out clever things. Programming is very creative. Programming is a lot of problem solving. And because of that, you'll leave your game that you've been building and you'll come back to it and you'll forget things. Comments help you not forget things. Also, it gives you credit for making the program. You can put a comment in the beginnings, designed by you on this date. There's something called programming creep, and everybody gets into it, understands it. Whatever, you never finished with the game. You can always be thinking of ways to making the game better. We'll start off with the one-person Pong. Then we'll make it a two-player Pong. Then we'll make it a Pong that keeps the score even when I come back later. Then I'm going to make a two-play Pong that, man, I think I would love to see it play in 3 dimensions. You just never stops. I'd like to make a Pong depending on how good I've done in the past. It makes it harder or easier. Can I set levels of difficulty? It's never ending. That's what makes programming so great and so wonderful, by the way. Okay? Let me see if there's another question. Because that was a great question. Why you commented? So those codes are for changing a backdrop. All right, now we got to this point last time. This is where I want to start bringing up our Pong game. You needed to get So if you haven't saved it, you need a beach ball and a trampoline. And I'm going to shrink this down as I bring up mine. Hang on 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm going to bring up my account. I'm just blocking myself out for a moment here, just while I enter a password. Okay, guys, just hang to loose. I'm just going right back in the crate. So, all right, let me go and get my screen again. Okay, I thought I had. Yeah, let me try to unblock. Why is my screen not unblocking here? Here we go. All right, great. Want to make sure we're set. So here we go. All right, so now we're going to do a new one. I'm going to do File, New. And I didn't log in just to save expediency time. You would need to log in to be able to save it. I think it would be a well-worn thing. So here we go. We're going to go down here to the sprites are. X that sprite's gone. Choose a sprite. We just said the basketball and the trampoline. Animals, people, fantasy, done, sports, fashion. I'm not sure. We'll go with sports. And we'll find a beach ball. Let me see here. What did I use last time? Yep, beach ball. I said volleyball, beach ball, sorry. And then a trampoline. So then I can go through here again, another sprite. And they're also, some of it in, let's go to sports again. Oh, for whatever reason, my internet's kind of low on this. There's trampoline. So now we have a basketball and a trampoline. All right. And what we did yesterday is we said, hey, go ahead. We're going to click on the sprite because that's the one we're talking about right there. So you'll know I clicked on it because it's blue down there. This is where we're going to put our code. And our code's going to be, so everybody can see it, it's a little bit easier to see it up here. We're going to say, when click a forever loop. So a forever loop never stops. And you're going to set X on the trampoline. The trampoline is in X and Y coordinates. So when you learn math class, X and Y, this is what you use it for. That's the great thing. You're learning math to put it to use. Programming is, if you enjoy this, you're enjoying math. Even if you say, I normally don't like math class. When you're programming, you're doing math in your head. Just a different way. So you know how you learn X and Y? We're going to learn it right here. So here I go. I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to go on let me grab my screen if it'll let me. Interesting. Why is this such? Bear with me, folks. All right, there we go. I'll pull this out a little bit better. All right. So I'm going to pull it over here. I'm going to go into control. There's my forever loop, my event. When I click this, and again, I'm dealing with the trampoline. That little blue item down there tells me I'm dealing with the trampoline. Then I'm going to say my next line here, if you looked at it, is set X to move. So that's blue. So that's move. Mouse X is a sensor, sensing where my mouse is. So I go to motion. I go set X. Right? And then I'm going to go to sensor. And we did this. You can do this lots of different ways. I'm doing you this just to show you one way we do it. So we're going to mouse X. Now, when I run when I run this, when I run the mouse back and forth, see? And then hit up stop, and then it stops. Raise your hand if you've got yours to that point, so we can go on to the next. It's going to be important because we are going to go through and change this and start making our pawn game a little bit. That's how we're starting off with. Do you have to use a trampoline? No, but it might help you understand what we're doing. The stuff again is right over here. Go to the little kitty, right where the little kitty cat icon is at the bottom, where it says icon. See right here? Click on that, and it'll bring them all up. And then you can just try it back through there. You can use whatever you like right now. Just remember, if I say the trampoline and you're using a banana, that you know what we're talking about. It is in motion. Yes, it is. You answered your own question. And you know that, and you can figure that out because of the colors right here. All right, so we have that. Let's go on to the next part. We are going to now click on the sprite that is the volleyball. We're going to add this code. And I'm going to go first. Let's just see if we can get it to move. So let's start off this way with this. So I click on the sprite or beach ball. There's my beach ball. It's now just what we said. It's right there. I'm going to write some code. So here's what I'm going to do. Again, this is going to be another event. We're just going to go forever. Because once it gets started, we want it to go. And then we're going to have motion. We're going to have it move 10 steps. Now, I get my flag. Remember, that's an event, and I need some kind of event. So your events can be everything from pressing a certain key, when the sprite is clicked, when the backdrop changes, when I receive a message, I can broadcast a message. There's all kinds of different events out there, folks. We're just scratching the surface. Go out and experiment with those events. All right, so here we go. I'm going to run it. Oh no, my ball just went off the screen. That's a problem. So we're going to hit stop. So what we're going to need to do here is, well, one, let's get it so it's going to start in the same place. Well, how do we do that? Well, I get my sprite, and if I look over here now, I can see my location, where I am on the X, where I am on the Y. So I can make that 0, and he pulls them right over here. And there's the Y at 129. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I want to start there every time. So I'm going to go to I'm adding this go to. I'm going to make that 0. I'm going to make that 129. Now, whenever it happens, like let's say we run it, oh my goodness, the ball went off. I'll hit stop, click again. It's always starting where we want it. We need to point it in a direction. So we can go up here and see, again, there's a turn, there's go to, glide, point in direction. Now, if you look at the directions, you can just take this little clock and point it down. That's 180 degrees. So let's try that. All right, the ball goes down. We've got that. It's always falling. Everybody get that point. And then we're going to have one last little code, and I'll wait here to let you cut up. We're going to say if it hits the side, bounce. If on edge, bounce. So we'll put that down and watch what happens. Boom, it bounces. The trampoline doesn't do anything, but it bounces. Go ahead, do that. Raise your hands once you get to that many. Raise your hands once you have it. We've got some people join us who came in. Please bring up Scratch. We're all doing this. A lot of people have gotten it already. I'll give everybody else some more people need a little more time to do that. All right. I think we got most folks are there. So I'm going to put you up there. All right, I'm putting everybody's hands down. Now, we've got the ball, but you know what? Great. But the problem is we're not really much of a game here. If I put my trampoline, the ball should bounce up and down. So I'm going to hit stop. And I'm going to go back to the ball again. And I'm going to ask the ball some questions. All right? Oh, by the way, things you could do. I'm not going to do it now. But teachers, you encourage the students. Students, when I leave, make the ball fall down. Make the ball go faster. You can make the ball go sideways. Could you make it go slower? I suggest you try to do those things. Until you can make the ball do that without us showing the code, you really don't understand it yet. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Go out and try that. Could you do it right now? How would you go about making the ball fall faster, for example? Don't be afraid to look at the code. Try some things. Little failures on the way to a big success. Actually, what you're going to find later in life, you get into more complicated codes. What we have a tendency to do is you might not understand all the code, so you'll go into the code and just change one little part of it and see what it does. Not going to hurt anything as long as you keep the original code somewhere. Nothing that can't be fixed by rebooting the computer. All right. All right. All right. So I'm going to go back to Scratch. So what I want to do now is I'm moving. I get started. Move 10 steps on the edge, bounce. So I want to put an if statement in here. I'm going to say something. If something, an if statement is, if this is true, do that. If you're cold, turn up the thermostat in your house. If you're running too fast, you think you're going to fall, you slow down. Those are if statements. If this is true, then do that. Else do something else. If there's vanilla and chocolate ice cream in the fridge, eat chocolate. Or else eat vanilla. Those are if then. They're called Boolean logic. All right, so we're going to do one of those sensing things. If touching, now this is the ball, if touching the trampoline, all right, here's what you're going to do. We're going to go back to motion, and we're going to say something. We're going to say point in a new direction. Well, the direction we'd be pointing to is up, isn't it? So we go into here, and we move it up. Now, let's put this inside. So watch what happens. So now trampoline works. Every time it hits the trampoline, it changes direction. Then when it hits the ceiling, it's because it's hitting an edge, it flips back. For those of you who have gotten this working already, change the speed of how fast that ball bounces back and forth. Add a second ball while we wait. Nope, here, stop. Let me see if there's any questions at this point. All right, everybody try it. And raise your hands once you got it. Okay, excellent. Now, be honest with you, the only problem with our game so far, because we got a sweet game going here, is if we put the ball up there, it's kind of dull. I just sit there and leave the trampoline there. So let's add something to this. So now what we're going to do is when it touches the trampoline, let's put a little spin on it. So we're going to turn 15 degrees. And let's see what it does now. Ah, there it bounces. Well, that's a little more fun. Now we actually have a game that does that. Look, the whole time you can see what the ball's doing, where it's X and Y radius, where it is on there. All right. Okay. So we did ball hitting the panel, we're set. So then an if-then statement tells your program to execute a certain section code only if an expression or value is true. Wow, that's a really fancy way of saying it. Just do this if this is true. If the ball hits that touches the trampoline, then do this. If I sneeze, put my hand over my mouth. If someone else sneezes, say Gesundheit. It's just an if-then statement. All right? So now let's do this. Let's add some variability to it. All right, before we go to the next part of this, I want you to think about any other questions. Let me see. Do we have any more questions here? Any questions, anybody? I'm looking on your hands. I'm going to put everybody's hands down. Does anybody have a question? Want to raise their hand real quick? I'd rather you write them down there. With 20 attendees, it's kind of busy. All right. All right. What's that extensions at the bottom left? Let me see. Bottom left. I'm going to go down here and see if I can find right here. You're talking about. This starts. You can start. Look at this. You can tie this in the Lego Mindstorm EV3 video section. Translate. Draw your sprites. I'm a little microbits. Do they have Raspberry Pi here? They're make. I'm a little disappointed on this, to be honest with you, because it's all commercial products here. I wish they would have had this with an Arduino. I'm going to go check later, see. You add these on, and you can start to make, and maybe they made them available, and commercial companies just said, we're going to do this first, in fairness to them. Texas, Make Your Projects Talk, Amazon Web Services, is all businesses, so maybe they just jumped on it first. But these are little add-ons you can add on to it. And then you can do Bluetooth, so you can do all that stuff. So let's go back before it. You see, there's the code for microbit. We're not going to do microbit. Those are just add-ons that way. Hope that made sense. We will not be using add-ons during this thing. Hope that makes sense, Jessica. So from as a ball stuck bouncing to the right side of the screen, would I just adjust degrees to get them moving around the stage? Yes, you could do that, but I got even a better idea. Let's not get it predictable at all. So instead of turning 15 degrees, let's think about giving it a random number. And we're going to pick a random number from negative 20 degrees to 20 degrees. Now, watch when we run this. See how every time the ball is not changing. It's a random number. Most of the time it is going to go more up, but occasionally it angles a little differently, so it keeps you guessing. All right? We all set there. Great. Okay, so I'll go over here. So we added our random number. Now, you could also touch color. I'm not going to really add a losing element. So we can pick a touch color. And this is going to allow us, if you touch it, stop. So watch what I mean by that. So say we have, let's go back up here. Move this up here. Move this here. Go back to the ball, because that's where we're going to do all the code. And then we are going to make, on the bottom of this, go over here on my code. Let me show you up here. We can add a red element on the bottom of this. So let me go ahead. We're going to make, I am going to show you real quickly how to make another sprite. This sprite we're going to draw. So I'm going to click here, the little cat, and where it says paint, choose a sprite, surprise. So let's paint it's a sprite. There it is. We're going to take a rectangle. All right, and we're going to change the fill. We're going to go red. Total red. All right. Now, and then we might not make it so big. Let's put this right down there. Let's make this a little bit longer. You notice my drawing out here immediately updates, which is really a nice feature. All right. And there we are. So then we have that. And that would be another sprite. We would give that, we'd call that the lose zone or stop zone. All right. So then, go back to the game. I'm going back to here. And when I go over here, let's go over to code. So I'm going to go back over the ball. There it is. So I'm going to do another touch thing. So instead of touching trampoline, I'm going to say, if I touch red, stop. So, and in class, folks, for teachers that were doing this, I'm going particularly fast. I would challenge the kids. I would show them the colors and say, wonder what you could do with that. So, all right, so we have if touch, sensing, if color green is touching red, if it's touching color, there's what I want. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to pull these all over to the right. All right. So everything's pulled to the right on this. and you could copy it. All right, so if it does that, and underneath this if statement, I'm going to have the same. I'm going to try to put it right there. So I have an if there. I don't want to put inside the other if statement. If touching on the edge of that, there's a program we haven't really done much of. And so let me see, is it a stop all? This command here, you would not necessarily know it's stop all. So if, make sure it's finished, then do another if before this one. So here's what happens. See how it just stopped it? So I can keep playing, but if I miss it, stop. If touching red, stop all. Folks, would you all please do that? Once you have it doing this, raise your hand. And kids and adults, if you're not getting up there with everybody else, remember, we have lots of different users right now. We have people that have taught Scratch for a couple years. We have people who never taught Scratch until starting Tuesday, started learning about Scratch. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm in a race. You're not in a race with anybody. All right. We can also start adding those comments I told you about. All right, so now we're going to do some remixing here in just a second. All right, so now, once I have this done, so I remember later what this is doing, I'm going to right click, comment. I'm going to say something here. I'm going to say, if I touch trampoline, the ball bounces. I might put another one right here. Add a comment. I'll pull this in a little bit. And I'll say, randomly generate a number between -20 to 20. So teachers, good thing for notes for you, good thing to get the kids to explain, hey, what they did, why they did it. So it's a real good use for that. And kids, when I come back later, I now have this. I can also start making little pieces of code like this that later I can take this code and use it in another program. I can make my own custom blocks if I want to. You can do all you want after this lesson. Yep. Go for it, Aiden. We'd love it. I'd love for you. The best way to get ready for this competition, in my mind, is to keep making things. So here's what I'm going to give you a challenge to do for a few moments. Change what the ball looks like. Change the score if the ball touches the paddle. Add music when the green flag is clicked. Add another additional ball using duplicate tools. Increase the speed of the ball each time it hits the paddle, or in this case, and the paddle in this case is the trampoline. Could you do those things? For those getting ready for the competition, come back in this remixing and do those things. Can you figure out how to do them? I'll give you a little hint on the data. What we can do is we can create a score on this. This is data right here. Here's a variable. And you can make lists, which for people that program before are arrays, or make a simple variable. So I'm going to make a variable. My variable name for all the sprites is going to be, I'm going to make it score. So I can hit score. All right. And up here, you're going to see the score. See it's 0. So if I'm touching the trampoline, point in direction 0, turn, pick a number. I'm going to add another command though. I'm going to change my variable score by 1. And when I start this, because the score will just keep staying the same, let's go ahead and watch it, show what I mean by that. There you go. See? But here's the thing. The game stops. I start again. The score's still 12. What would I need to do? Up here, hint. I could set the score to something, couldn't I? Score to 0. So when it starts, this game starts at 0. Now my question for you is, could you do this instead of everything stopping when you hit the red, that you just reset the score to 0? So let's go down this. Think about things you can do. Teachers, I highly recommend giving them a bunch of challenges. It's when they do this, that's when they're really programming. When they're not just clicking what you do and following along. And everybody does when you first start programming. You just repeat what the code a teacher or another student shows you. Go, I know what I'm doing. Nah, you know what you're doing in Scratch when you start changing the pawn game so it does what you want it to do. Then you're programming. And I think it's better to start off modifying something you already got working than to totally start from scratch. No pun intended. What we're going to do next, now there's some things in here we're going to get rid of. Well, all right, and start playing with 2-player and 1-player and modifying things. So let's go ahead and we're going to call it a night at this. It's because I'm going to get ready for another webinar I'm doing with a little bit older kids and electronics and a language that looks a lot like Scratch is Blocky 2. I can't stress enough for people that missed Tuesday, Scratch was developed by MIT. Harvard freshman programming students do it. Our computer AP kids start with Scratch. We can make Scratch very challenging. Don't let the simplicity of this. It's computational thinking through and through. So, any questions, folks? How can I make a scoreboard? Have been working. Yeah, well, you just saw. Oh, and you got 3 and you got data. Let me see what this says. Lesson over. Yep, that's about it. 3 makes the labels a little bit easier. So you're just going to have to get used to a little bit changes. 3 and 2 aren't all that different enough. I didn't want to announce we were going to 3 until I knew 3 indeed was out. 3 is out. We're using 3 in case you weren't here. We are using version 3. All right, everyone. So with that in mind, have a great night and thank you for listening. I will answer all questions that are answered. Oh, let me just add this to you before I leave. Sorry. If I answer a question about the contest, it'll go up in public. So it'll be like in the North Carolina Science Olympiad. I won't answer particular questions because I don't want to give one team an advantage over another team. If you're not sure of something, go ask look at the direction, look at the scoring, how we're doing it, the rules, and then post a question or send it to the Science Olympiad, and we'll share it with everybody. I'll try to get them to put up a frequently answered question. Oh, yeah, and Aiden's got a cool pixelation trail. I love it, Aiden. But just for everybody to know, that's how I'll answer questions. I'm not trying to be rude. I just don't want to give one team an advantage over another, unintentionally give a team an advantage. All right, everybody. Take care now, okay? Bye-bye.